My name is Claus, Enevoldsen, and I used to work for Freedom Communications. Orange County Register is the flagship of Freedom Communications. I've since then moved on to Next Issue Media, and I'll talk a little bit about both. Let's start at the end. So Next Issue Media, or we just call it Next Issue, is a joint venture. We don't like the word consortium. Consortium sounds bad. Joint venture sounds a lot cooler. So we're made of 5 of the leading U.S.-based publishers: Condé Nast, Hearst, Meredith, News Corp, and Time Inc. And what we do, we deliver enhanced versions of the world's most popular magazines optimized for tablets. In that sense, we're in the same league of some of the other storefront apps out there. Cineo, you have Amazon came out, you have Nook. What we do is we only have optimized for magazines, optimized for iPad magazines, so you don't see any pinch and zoom in any of the stuff that's in ours. We're still in kind of preview mode, in beta mode. We only have less than 10 magazines in our storefront right now. Before the end of the year, there'll be close to 40, I think. But it's really 2012, beginning of 2012, that you're going to see something huge from us. What we have on the roadmap, I think will. You're going to have to wait and see, but I think it's going to be kind of groundbreaking in the magazine world. So this is kind of where Next Issue fits in, and not only Next Issue, but when you talk about content on tablets, this is kind of the framework that we go by. You have the editorials, you have the magazine titles, you have the newspaper titles, and then you have the new breed, where the daily is one of them. It's kind of the branded content. It has a brand behind it. It has an editorial voice. And then on the right-hand side, you have all the aggregators. Love them or hate them, they're here to stay. Flipboard, Float, Ongo, Pulse, Editions by AOL, Site, Trove, and SkyGrid. All of the others. The only difference, the only one that stands out there is Ongo. Everything else is free. They're the only one that's trying to do something paid in the aggregator world. Whether they have success or not, I can't say. But it's certainly it's something that they're trying out. And then at the bottom you have the storefronts, where, as I mentioned, we're just part of that. But hopefully we'll come up with something that'll make us stand out in terms of the competition there. And next week is going to be really exciting when iTunes Newsstand comes out. At least they have the announcement for iOS 5, and we'll see what it looks like. So that's kind of what I'm doing now in the magazine world. But you guys are newspaper people, so let's talk about newspapers. So, is the newspaper dead? It's kind of a tongue-in-cheek, so don't shoot me. No, the newspaper is not dead. But I will say that I don't know if it's terminally ill, but it's sick. Let's all agree that the newspaper is sick. We've seen decline for decades now, and it doesn't look like it's getting better. Oh, I'm sorry about the quality of that, because that's actually my son right there, and that's the back of my son, and he's in diapers. Tablets are still in diapers. So I put that up not only because it's the awe moment of the presentations, because he's rather cute, but it also kind of is a nice analogy of where we're at with tablets. Because, well, let me put it another way. Last week, Reed Hastings from Netflix had a big announcement. He decided to split up Netflix, which was it's going to be the streaming service, and on the other end of the spectrum, he's going to have Quickster, which is going to be DVDs only. He's had foresight to see that DVDs are going to die. Okay, DVD through mails eventually is going to die. Right now it's a cash cow, but it's going to die. So he ripped off the Band-Aid and said, you know what, we're going to put Netflix over here, that's the future, and we're going to put Quickster over here so we can pay full attention to it, but it's a completely different business model than what we're going to do with tablets. Last week in the press, he got murdered, maybe because from a PR standpoint, he didn't do it in a good way. He kind of folded it in with an apology for raising prices. not a good way to introduce a new product. But aside from that, it's visionary that you take this step to separate two businesses that seem to be connected but have completely different business models. I think we on the newspaper side can learn a lot from what they're doing there. If you go back 2005, 2006, when the Newspaper Next project came out, based on Clay Christensen, Innovator's Dilemma, go back and read that again. That's exactly what we're talking about. We need to nurture the future and not let the cash cow hold us back. So that's a long story, but my little son in diaper there, it's the first 5. He's 3 years old, and the first 5 is when you really, I mean, that's where you got to pay attention. You don't start teaching him how to speak when he's a teenager. You pay attention the first 5 so we can get off to a good start. So, long story, but that's kind of the background for what we did at the Register. So, and we see promise. The reason why, you know, this little young dude is going to turn out to be a superstar when he grows up is because of something like this. If you look at the projections, this just came out in September. It's shipments of tablets worldwide. And by 2015, the numbers we're seeing for shipments is in the size of what we are selling of desktops and laptops now. That's tablets, all the tablets. Okay, so that's really the takeaway. Just look at that number in 2015, add them up, and see that's the potential. Now, a few caveats if we go back to 2011, where we are at now. It looks like Android is doing pretty good. There is that little thing with it that this is shipments, it's not sell-through. So I think we'll be lucky if Android has a sell-through of 30%. It's probably less than that at this point. At Next Issue Media, where I'm at now, we see a lot of promise in Android, so I'm not dissing it. I really believe in Android, but at this point, it hasn't proven itself as a platform. Amazon came out with the Fire, and that's on Android. I think that's going to do something dramatic to that operating system. And then you see Microsoft down there is very conservative in terms of their shipments. They just came out, what was it, in September? Oh, sorry. No, why am I apologizing? They came out with the Windows 8, right? They had the conference down in Anaheim and said that they really believe in this tablet / PC. They don't call it a tablet. It's the convergence between the tablet and PC. So they're coming out with the one that they were handing out down there was a Samsung with it had a fan inside it. I believe that, something to cool it down. So maybe the hardware is not right there, but the idea of convergence between PC and tablet I think is sound. So I wouldn't rule out Microsoft. They have a vision there too. So anyways, I'm spending too much time on these. When we talk about tablets, what makes it such a big opportunity, besides the sheer numbers, is the fact that it's a different media usage pattern we have compared to print, compared to all the other media. I think, you know, let's go through it. In the morning, you pick up your newspaper, right? We've known that. You get your coffee, you pick up the newspaper if you're not too busy. You go to work and you log onto your computer. And whenever you have a break, you go check out the news. At night, you sit in front of the TV. This is where the tablet is really strong. I think the Daily can attest to this. There's a lot of research by now, just 1.5 years in, that suggests that all traffic really shows up in the evening from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. Flipboard's been out saying it. Read It Later has said it. We saw it at the Register already in the first couple of months. Google just had a study last week that said the same thing. So that knowledge also drove us to our strategy. People pick up tablets in the evening, and it's an opportunity because now we can spread out our media. You can capture them in the morning with a newspaper, capture them throughout the day with mobile, desktop during the day, and then a tablet in the evening. Another very, very, very important concept for us, and Mike said it too. It's like you have a start and you have an end. People crave that. So last year, Forrester came out with this definition of what curated computing is. They say that it's a mode of computing where choice is constrained to deliver less complex, more relevant experiences. So there's this information overload, and all of a sudden you have a medium. First of all, there's the rise of the apps, which came with smartphones, and then you have this tablet that you have apps, and now you have a tactile experience. You almost have the sense that when you swipe, right, you're progressing, and you know there's an end to it. It's very different from what you have on web, where it's an endless scroll, and there's always an extra click. There's always something extra you can do, right? It's an infinite experience. And all of a sudden you have this thing where you can create a finite experience, and where design really becomes key, because you wanna curate stuff and just give them what's most important for them so they can get on their way in 20 minutes or so. This was very important when we decided on our strategy. So I said the newspaper is dead. And somebody else said it earlier that you know, the audience really is 50 plus when you look at print. So and people are literally dying off. So when we looked at our strategy, it says, well, we need to do something. We need to start looking at creating a new audience. If we just migrate the people that are reading our print product to tablets, it doesn't really solve the problem. It might prolong the you know, you'll be in the deathbed a little longer, but it's the same people, right? So if you're just trying to migrate the same content, the same form, just put it on a tablet, I don't think we solve anything. So that was the starting point when we started on our strategy, and we had some stats behind it. And I think this is where the pink comes in. This, I think, is typical for a lot of metro papers. The circle represents the size of that market, right? So if you look at 55 plus, it has a certain size, the circle, the pie. And if you look at 35 to 54, it's a bigger pie, and from 18 to 34, smaller pie again. But what our reach is very different in these pies, right? If you look at the 55 plus, we're reaching, 66% in that group. We're doing pretty good there. All our products combined, newspaper, website, and other websites, and maybe a little bit of mobile app in there, we're doing pretty good. We're also doing fairly well in the 35 to 54, but there's a lot of potential, right? 47 of a bigger pie that we can reach. So the question is, again, like I said before, can we just port over the same content to this group of people, right? That was the biggest question we asked ourselves. And we don't think so. We think we have to come up with something different. When we looked at the target market, we said the primary target is 35 to 45. Secondary, 45 to 54. 60% male, 40% female. That might have changed a little bit as people buy iPads. And the profile, married, young kids, uses iPads somewhat in the morning, but again, a lot in the evening. And the willing to pay for apps and the interests are different than a traditional newspaper reader. So it's not just age, right? It's also lifestyle. Who are the people that are picking up iPads? You'll actually be surprised that the age groups of people picking up iPads are younger than what you would expect. You of course have that traditional early adopter that's affluent and white male man that wants the latest gadgets and has the money to spend, right? He probably has a MacBook Pro already or an Air. And then he picks up the latest gadget. That makes sense. But you also have this big group of emulators, the people that really aspires to buy an Apple product, but they can't afford it. They can't afford the MacBook Pro, right? But they want to be part of the family. So now all of a sudden they had a choice where they could go out and buy an Acer laptop for $300-400, or just for $100 extra. They could get into this club, and they could do everything they could do with the Acer. They could check their emails, they could go online, right? So I think that's part of the popularity of the iPad, besides that it's a fantastic, magical product. It's this that you can get into this club. So we have that big bulk of people in the 35 to 54, but you also have a lot of people in the 18 to 34 that are picking up iPads.